Now we're going to talk about core control. We've already screened our athletes for the pelvic tilt and the pelvic rotation. And here's some of our exercises that we like to use to see if we can help improve the efficiency of the way our athletes move. Again, I like to start with things that are really simple and the things that a lot of people have access to, whether I'm out in the field or I'm in my house or I'm in the gym. I can use a towel, I can use a rope. In this particular case, I'm going to use a band. What I'm really trying to do here is create a feel for that lower lumbar. Once I have that kinesthetic feel, I think it's a lot easier for some athletes to be able to move in that region. So as I lay down here, I create some tension in that lower lumbar. I go ahead and extend this up, and then I just go ahead and allow that to arch up. And I just let them relax into that and just let them feel that. And then I have them push that down. Then I have them relax, and I push that down. You can have your athlete go through this for several reps until they feel comfortable with it. Once I feel like they've accomplished that goal, I'm going to move them right over to that quadruped position, and I'm going to do targeted cats and dogs. I'm going to start with that same feel, and now we're going to give a little bit of support. We're going to get right here, and I'm going to go ahead and let that come down and push up. I'm going to let that come down and push up. I'm not trying to rush through these exercises. I want to make sure that they totally feel where they're supposed to be moving from and how that feels for their body. Again, once we get done with that, I like to stand these people all the way up. We're going to come right to here, and I'm going to go right to that athletic position. I'm going to go ahead and get this right here. I'm going to give this a nice little tug, arch and control, arch and control. I really find that whenever I give somebody a kinesthetic awareness of where their lower spine is, it's a lot easier for them to move through that. Once we're done with the band, I'm going to progress them right into a tall kneeling box. I like the tall kneeling box because I can give myself support, and when I go from that tall kneeling, it's really easy for me to, again, to target my lower extremities. So I come from right here, I get a nice setup. Again, if their knees are hurting, something's going on, put an AirX pad down, sit on a shoe. We don't want anybody in any pain. We're going to come right from here. I'm going to arch, I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to arch, and I'm going to squeeze. During this time, I really like to start talking about how the glute, when it squeezes, can open up that hip flexor. So that rolls me right into my next exercise. I go from a tall kneeling. From this area, I can really start to identify what's going on here. So again, I'll place this down, I'll arch, and I'll squeeze. I want to make sure you guys can see that. I'm going to come over here from the side. I'm going to arch, and I'm going to squeeze. Really asking them to really get a good contraction here to help open up that front side. Once we're done with those, we're going to flow right into pelvic rotation. So we've already covered how it tilts. Now we want to talk about rotation. Some of my easiest favorite things to do, again, is some sliders or some towels. I really like these because I think they're available to everybody. And what I'll start talking about is how to rotate from the balls of your feet and the heels of your feet. And what's really interesting, when we start talking about the heels of our feet, we actually get people into that hip hinge or that athletic position. We're going to start from right here. I'm going to come from the toes of my feet. What I'm going to do is just start to rotate. And I'm asking the athlete, what are you thinking about? And they're thinking about moving their feet. Well, guess what's also happening? All the way up that chain, that pelvic is starting to rotate. Again, I'm right here, and then I'll go ahead and go to my heels, and I'll go right here. I'll get you to see that from a side view. Toes, heels. What's really neat is sometimes that's all I have to do for some of my athletes. And then I'll have them say, hey, get rooted into the ground, get in that athletic position, and they really start to rotate really well. So from here, what I like to go into is the Disassociation Plank. The reason why I like this so well is because I can really engage that core for that bracing, and I can have a closed chain where my hands and my feet are there, and I can rotate around that position. So I'll get into a position right here, making sure my setup is nice and packed. And then from here, I'll go ahead and lock in this knee, just like a stork we would be, and I'm going to rotate. And then I would go to each side and rotate. And that's how we go over pelvic tilt and pelvic rotation.